Hi, I'm Jo from Elsie Grays and welcome to part 1 of our Liberty Trip Around the World Sew Along. In this episode, I will demonstrate how to get started with hand piecing your Trip Around the World quilt. Once you have received your Trip Around the World quilt kit with everything that's pre-cut, you will also need needles, thread, scissors, mechanical pencil, a ruler with a 1/4 inch mark, pins and a needle threader if you need one, either a sandpaper board or a patchwork board. To get started, we will be using packets 1 and 2. 1 is your very centre block and 2 is your first round. Okay, so once you've got those, we're just going to turn those over and we're going to draw our 1/4 inch line on all 4 sides. Okay, so the first centre block, I've drawn my 1/4 inch mark all the way around on 4 sides. Rows 1 and 2, you'll be drawing a 1/4 inch line on all 4 sides. After that, it'll only just be on 2 sides, but I'll show you as we get to that. So the method I'm going to be using is American hand piecing. It's a really simple way of hand piecing. For all the ladies that love their English paper piecing or EPP, you can use 2-inch papers to make this quilt as well. Some ladies have asked me about machining this quilt. Yes, you could, but you would have to lay the whole lot out first and work out your rows on the diagonal. Okay, so here's your centre block, and I always just arrange them first, just so I know that it looks nice as we're going. So that's going to be your first round. So we're going to sew this onto here, then this one, this one, this one, and hopefully I can do that just using 1 needle and thread. Okay, so we're just going to flip that one over. I didn't draw that one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to match right in that corner there with my pin. Now the pins I use are the Clover patchwork pins. They're nice and fine. I'm just going to pin, and I always pin downwards. And the reason I pin down is I can then open it up to see what it looks like as I'm going. So they're all laser cut, so they're going to be absolutely perfect. So that's going to look gorgeous. Okay. So I always start my needle right in that where that pin is, and I'm just going to see there, and I'm just going to do a little back stitch, and I'll take that pin out. And then I'm just going to do a little running stitch all the way along. And I do about 4 stitches and then I'll do another little back stitch. Now I'm always checking on the other side here that I'm sewing on the penciled line, that I'm not going crooked or anything like that, so it's going to stay nice and square as you sew. So again, just 4 to 5 stitches. Flip it over. Yep, that's good. And a little back stitch again. Oops. Now you don't want great big stitches. The smaller the better, but just see how you go. And then when I get to the end, I put my needle right where that pin is, and I'll pull that pin out, and that's where I'm going to do another little back stitch there. Just open that up, and there's your first one. So what I'm going to do is see how my thread is on this side. I'm going to be joining my next one here. So I really want my thread to be on the other side. So I'm just going to pop that through, making sure I'm coming right into that point there where the two, the two pencil lines meet. Okay, so then I'm going to pin exactly the same again. Oh, fingers and thumbs today. Okay, so see, I'm just going to get that pin right in that, right in there. See, that's right in that corner there. And always pin down. Doesn't make a huge difference if you pin up or down. It's just the way I do it, and I've just got into the habit of doing that. So remember, my thread is on this side, and I'm just going to come in just ever so slightly here. I'm just a tiny bit away from that pin there, making sure that I'm on the pencil line there. And then I'm just going to do a little back stitch there. So pull that pin out. And then I'm going to, again, carry on 4 to 5 stitches, then do another little back stitch and carry on right to the end. Just always checking that I'm on that same line on the other side, that I haven't gone too, or that I haven't gone crooked at all. Because obviously if you go crooked, you won't get a square quilt. You can put a pin in the middle here if you feel like you need to put one here. I sort of maneuver my squares with my nails, just that, just sort of maneuver them down a bit. But if you feel more comfortable putting your pin in there, just pop one in there. Okay, so back stitch, and then get right to the end there. We put our needle right where that pin is, pull the pin out, and then another little back stitch. Okay, so that's your second block sewn. And then we're just going to put another one here and another one there. Okay, so we're going to sew this last little block on here. And this is the last one of the round. And each round you increase by 4 blocks. So just move that seam to one side. Just push that out the way, making sure that that pin gets right in that little corner. And again, same on this side. Just move that seam out of the way, because you don't want to be sewing through that seam. It's not like on the sewing machine how we would sew straight through. Hand piecing's a little bit different. So that's my last one of round 2. And start with a back stitch, pull your pin out, and we'll sew to the pin. Now when I get to the end, I'll just show you this little knot that I do. So I'm going to grab one end of the thread and put it round that way of the needle, and then the thread going through the eye of your needle is going the opposite way. And this is a great little knot. Now for some reason, don't ask me why, I still do another knot here. It's just a bit of a security thing, and then I cut my thread. So we have now got round 2 done. Now we're ready for round 3. Okay, so now we've got packet 3, and again I just like to lay mine out. Now this one is going to sit in there. And all the way around. Okay, so round 3 onwards, you only need to draw 2 lines. You'll soon get the hang of sewing a straight line, and because they're all so beautifully cut, you can't go wrong. If you're cutting your own, you've just got to make sure that you've got a nice 2.5 inch square. So we're going to pin that one onto there. Where's my pins here? So remember, in the corners. I use a very light grey thread because grey goes with blue and it goes with green. Now I'm just going to mark my 1/4 inch just on this edge here. I don't need to draw a full line, I'm just going to mark a little 1/4 inch little mark there. So I'll just show you the little sample we have here. So what I'm sewing at the moment is this one on here. Back stitch, making sure that you're sewing a nice straight line, double checking the other side. That's perfect. Don't sew your finger. People ask me what needles I use. I like a milliner's needle, and I really love the Clover milliner's needles. They're nice and they take a lot to bend. I know a lot of ladies love a bent needle. I struggle with a bent needle. But just use any needle that you feel comfortable with that's obviously thin enough to make it easy to sew your pieces together. Okay, so again, remember to push it through the other side. We want to finish on that side. Now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So this here is going to butt up in here. Just going to mark my 1/4 inch here. You don't have to do this, but I just like to get it those points, you know, tucked in there, so just so it all lines up. So remember, push that seam over and come up through there. And again on this side as well. Oof, got that first go. Okay. Now wrap that around the needle. Okay, so I'm coming up just a little bit away from the pin. And again, I'm just going to do that little back stitch, pull the pin out. Nice small stitches, just a little running stitch, double checking that you're sewing it nice and straight on the other side. You won't need to keep checking as you go along. Just becomes a bit of a habit with me because I like to have it all nicely lined up. I'm just going to do a little back stitch there. Just making sure that that seam is pushed over to that side, that you're not sewing it down. And a little back stitch in there. Now this is where this one is going to turn and go up to here. And we just need to pop that pin in there. and here. So once you get going, you should be able to use one piece of thread for most of your, you know, your rounds. I mean, obviously as your quilt gets bigger, you won't be able to, but it will just be a continuous row of sewing. Now, see, I'm not happy with that. See, I'm a little bit too low. It's just there. So I'm just going to pull that out, and I just use my my nails to maneuver it up a little bit, and that should be perfect now. Again, if you need to put a pin in the middle there, you certainly can. Once we get to the end, it'll sit in there, that little block will sit in there just nice, that little square. This is a really great project because it's quite a portable project as well. Okay, so once we open that out, see how that's coming along? So we've gone from across here, down here, down here, and your next one will go on there. And that's how rounds 2 and 3 will look. Okay, so a couple of ladies have asked us about the marking on the very edge. So the fabric is laser cut and it sort of burns the edge of the fabric, but once you're drawing your 1/4 inch, you won't even see that edging. The good thing is that the laser cutting stops it from fraying. So it never frays, and it doesn't matter what fabric you use. Some fabrics love to fray, some don't. So once they're laser cut, it sort of seals the end, and no fraying occurs, so it's great. So that's the basics of how to get started. Just continue with this method on each round, and we'll check back in with you in a couple of weeks and see how you're going. Thanks for watching part 1 of our sew along. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.